Hello everyone and welcome back to another VTOL VR tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about the different weapons that are available to the FA-26B and many of the other jets in the game. This is going to be a somewhat detailed tutorial, not incredibly technical. This is intended to be a practical tutorial showing you what each type of weapon does, and then I'll show you how to use each category of weapon. If you're anything like me, when I first got into the game, I got to this screen before starting my first mission and was just completely lost. I clicked here and I saw this whole list of different munitions to equip, and I had no idea what to do. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to walk through each of these and explain to you generally what they do, kind of a high-level overview. I'm not going into great detail, but I will explain to you what they do and when to use them and how to use them. And then later on, I'll show you exactly how to fire them. So the first one here, we have the AIM-120 Advanced Radar Missile. So this is your bread and butter when it comes to air-to-air radar missiles. But when it comes to the FA-26B, this is your go-to air-to-air radar missile. Next up is the AIM-9 Sidewinder. Kind of a famous missile. It's been around for a long time. It is a short-range, heat-seeking air-to-air missile. So it's IR-based, infrared-based. It is an older missile, old tech, but it is very functional for a very short-range, heat-seeking missile. Now here we have the ARIS-T. This is the more popular heat-seeking air-to-air missile in VTOL. It is very maneuverable, has countermeasures, and you can use it to intercept incoming missiles. It is an incredibly popular choice, and I'll show you how to use it in a little bit. The Mark 82 bomb. It is, as advertised, a standard unguided 500-pound bomb. All this is good for is dropping a dumb bomb that's 500 pounds. It's a good bomb, but you got to know how to use it, and I will show you how to drop dumb bombs in a little bit. The Mark 82 Air is the exact same thing as a Mark 82, but as advertised, it has an inflatable drag chute to slow its descent. The Mark 83 is the same as the Mark 82. It's just 1,000 pounds instead of 500. The CBU-97. I'll just say it, cluster bombs are cool. So what this one does, it is a bomb. It is an unguided dumb bomb. And when you drop it, it will fragment into 40 different armor-penetrating shrapnel rounds, whatever you want to call them. And it is very effective if you can use it right. Next is the Hydra 70. Now this is technically a dumb rocket. The best way I've found to use this is with the TGP or just using your HUD to aim. Each of these pods can hold 7 rockets, and you can fire them either one at a time, just kind of semi-auto, or you can set it to ripple mode and fire them in kind of burst automatic mode. Now the CAGM-6 is near and dear to my heart. It is an optically guided fire and forget missile that breaks up into 6 individual sub-munitions. What that means is you fire one missile and it turns into 6. It is optically guided fire and forget, meaning you point your TGP at your target, you press the trigger, and then walk away. This thing is going to go at the target, it is going to split off, and it is going to hit multiple targets. Incredibly useful if you have a large group of man-pads or a large group of tanks and you want to fire one munition and take out multiple. This one's a lot of fun. GBU-38. This is a GPS-guided bomb. It's basically a Mark 82 with a guidance package. So you give it a GPS coordinate, GPS location, either by setting it on your nav, receiving it from a friend, or using TGP. You set a GPS location, you fire, and it's going to use its guidance package to glide to that point. Within reason. Definitely drop it when you're within range. The AGM-65 is a fan favorite when it comes to optically guided fire and forget missiles. This thing is great. You point your TGP at something, you press the trigger, it's going to go. Fire and forget, so you can pull away. You don't have to maintain lock. It's great. This is one that I definitely recommend having in your rotation for ground targets, especially ones that are not radar-based, like tanks or other man-pads, things like that. The AGM-89 is what it says. It is an anti-ship cruise missile. It is most effective against ships, but it is a cruise missile, meaning that you can fire it over a long distance and is best used against ships. AGM-88 is possibly the go-to for anti-radiation missiles in this game, especially with the FA-26B. You basically find a target on your ARAD, meaning a target that is shooting a radar at you, be it like a dish sight or a SAM. It's beaming a radar at you. You lock onto that using your ARAD, you fire this right back. It is great, it is fire and forget, and I love it. The AGM-126. It's like the AIM-9, based on the main 9. It is a compact, short-range, anti-radiation missile. So imagine the AGM-88, you target ground-based radiation targets or air-based radiation targets, but those are more maneuverable. But the AGM-126 is a short-range anti-radiation missile. So it is still good for anti-radiation targeting, but it is at a much shorter range than the AGM-88. The GBU-12 is exactly what it says it is, a 500-pound laser-guided bomb. Now, the game doesn't explicitly say it, but laser-guided just means optically guided, but you have to maintain an optical look at your target all the way to the ground. There's optical fire and forget, and then there's optical laser-guided in this case. There is no specific laser module in this game, you just use your TGP, and you use the TGP to optically guide it to the target, but it's not fire and forget, but that's how you do the laser, is with the TGP. This is just a 500-pound bomb. Imagine the Mark 82, it is based on the TGP. AGM-161, an incredibly popular cruise missile. This one is really good for delivering a large payload to a ground target over a long distance, exactly what it says. This is GPS guided, follows a pre-programmed route, so you can set waypoints to kind of path it to the target, or you can just get a GPS if you're in range and just launch straight at it. But it is an incredibly popular, slow, but still effective, cruise missile. The AIM-9E Sidewinder, an older, short-range, rear aspect, heat-seeking air-to-air missile. Exactly as it says, it is a heat-seeking missile, but it's old. So don't expect as good performance as you would out of the ARIS-T, but it's good. The AIM-7, also older. So it's not new tech, it's not very efficient. It's good, it works, but it is an older, radar-guided, medium-range air-to-air missile. You'll find these ones in old Cold War kind of style lobbies as well. This one requires a radar lock from launch until impact. It does not have its own internal radar to change that. There is no soft locking or anything like that. You have to lock onto it and follow it until the missile hits. Last but not least, the ALQ-131. This is the jammer module, and I have a few other videos on this already. I recommend you go check those out if you want to know how to use this jammer module. There are 5 main types of munitions you're going to have to deal with, 5 main categories in terms of practical use. You have radar missiles, which could be air-to-air radar missiles or air-to-ground. You have GPS bombs, which you give them a specified GPS point and they'll go and land there using their own internal guidance package and glide wings. You have optically guided and laser guided, which are pretty much the same, but with laser guided you have to maintain a look at it until it hits, versus optically guided is often fire and forget, though there are some exceptions. And finally you have dumb, which means there is no guidance. Where you drop it based on your angle, your speed, when you drop it, how off base you are, that will determine where it lands. Let's talk about dumb bombs, or unguided bombs. The first thing you're going to see when you equip an unguided bomb is this giant line in the middle of your HUD. And that's one of the lines you're going to use for targeting. So the dumb bombs, ultimately, they land where you put them. If your aim is off, your bomb is going to be off. That's just how it works. It does not autocorrect, does not aim. You use the HUD and your internal computer here to help you drop the bomb at the right time, to hit the target at the right angle and at the right spot. It is just that simple. It is very manual. That's how it works. It's a little tricky. These are probably the most difficult of all the munitions to use and get good at, but if you like to use them, here's how to do it. You will first acquire a target optically with your TGP, and then you should see a second line appear in front of you, which is a dashed line. What you want to do is you want to line up the straight line with the dashed line. I'll show you just kind of like this, just very gentle. Your goal is for those lines to be perfectly overlapped when you drop the bomb. In the middle of my HUD, you'll see 2 arrows pointing inward. That is also your drop target. So eventually, as we get closer to this target, a diamond is going to come down my non-dash line, my solid line, and I want to drop it when it's right between those 2 diamonds and my solid line is perfectly covering my dashed line. If you do that, your target is more than likely to hit. It's very tricky, it's very precise, but that's the reason that guided bombs were invented, because this is kind of difficult. Imagine trying to do this while you're getting shot at. Couldn't be me. And here it comes, here's my diamond. Fire. I may have been a little off there, but I'm not sure. We'll find out on the TGP. And as you can see, I missed. That's just how precise you have to be. but that's how you do it. As a general note, the higher you are, the more precise you have to be. The closer you are to your target, the better off you are. I fired that last one from above 12,000 feet, so being that high, my errors were multiplied exponentially. Now this one I'm going to fire from a lot lower altitude, closer to 4,000 feet. Being lower will give me a lot more precision and give me a lot more room for error. Here comes the diamond. Fire. That looked pretty good. Let's see how it looks. Direct hit. We got it. Next, let's talk about optically guided fire and forget. It's very clear exactly what it sounds like. You use the TGP to optically pick the target, but fire and forget means that once you pull the trigger, you can go find a different target, pull off, lose lock, everything. Once it launches, it's going. The AGM-65 is probably the most popular fire and forget optically guided missile for the FA-26B. All you do is find your target on the optical guide, you pull the trigger, and on the HUD it will snap to that target, and you press the button with your thumb. And then it will fire. You can find another one, and you can launch that one too. And we can watch those both go down to their targets. First hit, second hit. Now let's talk about GPS bombs. Now they work as you would expect. They are bombs that you drop and will go to a specified GPS point. One of the best ways to do this is to go on your TGP, find a target, and hit GPS send. Now it's over here, and we can use this in our middle. So basically the final goal with your GPS bombs is to pull the trigger and drop the bomb when that diamond is in the middle of the smallest circle, like it just was there. Now again, this is fire and forget, so we can move our situation around, add another GPS target. That first bomb is still going to go to that first target at the GPS location that we sent it, based on what we had selected over here when we launched the bomb. Direct hit. Now, a laser guided bomb works very similarly to a GPS bomb, where you will drop the bomb when the diamond reaches the smallest circle on your HUD. The only trick is it's not fire and forget. So with a laser bomb, you have to keep your TGP on the target until it hits the target. Diamond's coming down the HUD. Wait till it gets inside of the smallest circle and then fire. And then make sure that you maintain lock. In the FA-26B, the targeting pod is on your left, so you can turn a little bit to your left and turn a little bit, orbit it, kind of counterclockwise if you have to, but make sure that it stays on target the whole way. Because if your TGP moves off your target, so will your bomb. Anti-radiation missiles are pretty easy to use. All you do is you open up the ARAD screen, and then anywhere inside of this V here, you can select with your right thumbstick and fire an anti-radiation missile. They are fire and forget, so once one's gone, you can select another one and fire. Using radar missiles is an incredibly popular type of air-to-air combat in VTOL VR. All you do is you go to your radar, and find it by just clicking on radar, and you will select it and find a target in front of you. I will use the thumbstick to select both of them. You'll see them on the HUD appearing. You can click between them, the diamond indicating the one that you have, primary lock onto. If you click it again, you'll hard lock it, which will give you greater accuracy against the target. And then all you do is you follow this dot that appears on your HUD and fire the missile as close to that as possible. That dot is just an indicator of the shortest, most direct route to the target based on their trajectory. The closer you are, the more effective the missile is, and that's a hit. In addition to locking on, AIM-120s also have an additional setting called Mad Dog. If you enable it in the equipment menu, you just hold down the trigger and it will automatically launch without a lock, seeking targets. Looks like it found that one, and there it goes. Mad Dog is a lot of fun if you want to sneak up behind somebody and not maintain a radar lock, but also tricky because they could go after your friends. So how do you know if you're in range? Well, it depends on what you're using, but for many of the weapons in VTOL VR, you can just lock onto a target, and this extra kind of vertical rectangle will appear on the bottom right of your HUD. It'll have a little triangle pointing to the right on the left side of it, and that'll be your indicator of where you are in the actual range. If the triangle is outside of the rectangle, the entire shape, you are not likely to hit your target. you're out of range. It is possible to still hit your target out of this range like this, but you have to get lucky.
Shoot.
If you're inside this section of the rectangle, which is the open section, you are within range, but it is not as likely to hit. It's a little bit more difficult to get to the target. Once you get inside of the lower rectangle, your missile is significantly more likely to hit. Now, to use the RST for missile interception, that is shooting down someone else's missile with your own, the easiest way to do it is to go into the equipment tab here, to RST, and setting the seek mode from caged or whatever it is to head track. That way you just have to look at the incoming missile and you can target it. So I have two fighters off to my left. They've already got a lock on me, which means a missile is probably on its way. Not to worry, I have my RSTs ready. Alright, right here, I can see that there is smoke in the air. So we're just going to track that with our head. And once it goes pipple, we'll probably be within range to get it. Here it is, you see the red M? Just point in that general area and spam, and you can intercept that missile. One more coming in off number 1 here. Here we go. Shoot. And intercepted.
Missile launch. Shoot.
From number 2 here.
Shoot.
Shoot. Oh, that one missed. It's not perfect. Depends on the turn radius like any missile, but it does work pretty well. The CAGM-6 is another optical fire and forget missile, but I think it deserves its own showcase because of how useful it is. You find a target with your TGP, hold, and fire. And that munition will split off into 6 sub-munitions that will all independently seek targets, making it easier to take out a large group of enemies with one missile. Looks like we got all but 1, or 2. The CB-97 cluster bomb operates similarly to any other dumb bomb. However, this one's unique in that it drops 40 independent smaller bombs. The AGM-161 is one example of a cruise missile here in VTOL VR. They operate based on GPS. So I have 2 targets selected, the 2 DS sights in front of me. All you do is equip the 161, point at the target, and fire. Cruise missiles can travel a very long distance. They don't move especially fast, but they will eventually get there. In addition to just pathing towards a GPS target, you can also use the nav map to set a path to a target. Cruise missiles can be fired from a very long distance, so establishing a path will allow you to launch it at a farther distance, giving it essentially checkpoints to pass through on the way there. So I have a target over here that I'm going to go after. We're just going to set one GPS point right here. We'll do that with GPS send, and you'll notice that it's all the way down there on the ground. It's because I didn't set the altitude here. So let's go back to GPS, delete that target. Let's increase the altitude to around 12,000 feet, because I know that my final target is somewhere around 9,000 or 10,000 feet. Let's give it some extra wiggle room. So now if I GPS send, you'll notice that it's a little higher. That triangle over there, a little bit above me. And when you equip your GPS cruise missile, all you have to do is point at the GPS target and fire. Now you notice I don't have my final target set. We'll just go over here and we'll select it. GPS send. One final thing to do is to go into your GPS and enable path. Now you'll see the path is created. We'll just fire the cruise missile at the first target, and you'll see the cruise missile is kind of going off beneath me and is on its way. It's going to follow that path. It's going to hit this checkpoint first, then go towards the final target. The AGM-89 cruise missile is an anti-ship cruise missile. It operates the same as the other AGM-161 cruise missile. However, it has some additional settings that are used for anti-ship warfare. If you go to the equipment tab, you'll see that it has a few different modes. The first one you'll see is direct. That is exactly what it sounds like. The cruise missile will fly in a straight, direct line from you to the target. Next one, a little bit better, is sea skim. In this one, the missile will fly just a few meters above the surface of the ocean to evade radar lock, but it will still go in a straight line. Sea-skim evasive, again, it'll just fly across the surface of the water just a few meters above. However, when it gets close to the target, it will go evasive, meaning it will start to sway back and forth, making it harder for the onboard Sea Whiz to attack it. Funnel mode is called pop-up. This is possibly the most damaging one. It works just like Sea-skim evasive. However, in the last second, it'll pop up and hit the top side superstructure, causing significant damage, since it's less armored up there than it is at the hull. You fire it by just choosing a target with your TGP or getting a GPS target. Do GPS send. I'll show you in the GPS menu. This is our one target. We'll take off. You simply point at your target like you would a normal cruise missile and fire. And like the 161, you can use pathing as well. Now we can't talk about weapons without talking about the Vulcan, the main gun on the FA-26B. Now when you just equip it and have nothing on it, you'll see these lines as they kind of jiggle around as you move. This is what's called a gun funnel. And that funnel is meant to kind of display where your bullets are going to land when you fire them. Now if you're going straight ahead and at no kind of weird angle, they're basically just lines, and the bullets are going to go straight ahead. But if you turn to the side or go up or down, you'll see it turn into a funnel. And as you can see, those bullets are generally following that track. That's how it works. That's the main principle of it, is it's kind of showing you where your bullets are going to land in terms of your angle and how you're moving at any given moment. Now, in addition to having the gun funnel, you can also lock onto a target using your radar, and you'll get a new icon here, which is a circle with a bunch of dashes coming out of it and a dot in the middle. And it literally is as simple as just putting the dot on your target and shooting. Lead them a little bit, but generally, if you just lead them a little bit and put the target on your enemy, it will hit. We'll go in for him here. And we got him. And that's about it for weapons in the FA-26B. There's a lot of overlap between these weapons with other planes, so hopefully this will help you fly more than just the FA-26B. As always, if I missed anything, please leave a comment. If you have any questions, leave a comment. See you next time.